John and Robbie from Goo Goo Dolls, welcome to Australian Musician.
How are you?
I'm very well. You're coming back here in February. Tell me about, what do you remember about the first time you came to Australia?
Uh, going out and going out with a bunch of people and getting drunk under the table with like getting drank under the table by a girl.
Yeah, yeah. Like the first time we came was so low budget, and we were there on a prayer, But I just remember having such an amazing time. Like, just there's so many just awesome people, and everybody was so friendly, and yeah, it was great.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's the biggest takeaway that I got was like just how amazingly cool everybody was and just really generous and friendly.
yeah. So it wasn't that long ago you were here. Will it be the same band coming back?
Um, yeah, the same band, but it's in a different sort of context because this time we're headlining, whereas like, you have 45 minutes or an hour to do a show. You really got to beat people over the head with all the songs that they know. Um, and that's sort of the deal being in the opening slot on a tour. But that tour um provided us with this opportunity. We had to do that to get this opportunity to do a headlining tour. And so, we get to dig into the catalog a little bit deeper. Robbie gets to sing a couple more songs. It's like, it's
Yeah,
fun. And it's
yeah.
like when you're in the opening spot on a tour, it's like my own personal feeling about that is um there's a little bit of deference to the headliner that I like to show. And this time the stage is ours, so all bets are off.
Yeah.
Yeah, it had been 20 years since we had played, so it was really hard to just go out there and play 40 minutes some nights, like like you're just rolling, and it's like, oh man, you got to stop. But like John said, like, that really did provide us the opportunity this time to come and, talk to all the promoters again and, make this tour happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I see that over the years you've played In Excesses Don't Change in your set. Will that make it to the set this time?
You know what? I was just thinking about that the other day, and I was making out like lists of songs, and I was like, that song we should bring
That's a
back.
great one. That's a great one
That
to
that
do.
song is awesome. It's to me, it's like a perfect rock and roll song.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you come across those guys much over the years?
You know what? I never met those guys ever.
Oh,
No, never,
Yeah.
not once.
Yeah. Just going way back, the Buffalo music scene in the late 80s. Do you have fond memories of those times?
I have fond memories because um the Buffalo music scene was so incredibly hostile toward bands like punk rock bands that were playing their own music. You had to be in a cover band that played hair metal to get a gig, or classic rock. And so, with the help of some of our friends, Robbie and I and these people created our own scene. We made our own scene. We rented our own halls. We made our own posters, hung them up on all the telephone poles, went to the college radio station, browbeat them until they played our music on the college station. We did a very DIY from the bottom up, made our own t-shirts, and we did it all on our own. And then our scene wound up being bigger than anything that was going on in the clubs. So, so it was really exciting. And we had a lot of help, from our first manager and people that he was acquainted with. Um, but well, we were just like, well, nobody's going to give us a break, so we better make our own, and
Yeah.
that's what we did.
Yeah. Was there a local music store that you used to hang out and get your guitars and strings and stuff?
Elmwood, there
kind
was a
of.
place. There was a place called Elmwood Music, which was like, sort of the local indie music store. You know.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. There were a couple of record stores too, like There was a store called Home of the Hits that really embraced us early on, and they were really kind of the tastemaker, pre-internet tastemakers, in town. So we used to hang there a bit, and yeah, it was great.
It was interesting though to be able to hang out at Home of the Hits when you were a kid, basically a kid. I mean, I did in high school. The indie record shop was a block from my high school, so I would just go in there and listen to music and pretend to be looking for albums to buy and reading magazines and stuff. I didn't have any money, so but then you sort of got to know the guys that worked there and hang out, and that was very much it was like taking pop culture lessons in that place.
In the early days, one of your supports was Motorhead. What are your memories of Lemmy and the guys?
They were awesome. My biggest memory was standing in line at the catering backstage and then being behind Lemmy in line waiting for my food. That was kind of interesting. And then going out into the audience to watch them play, and it being so loud that I swear to God, time slowed down. It was that loud.
We played with them twice, but John and I ran spotlights for them once too. Remember?
Yeah. Yes, we ran spotlights. Listen, at that point in your life, you'll do anything for $30.
Speaking of money, you've had massive hits, particularly with Iris. It just clicked over 2 billion streams. That must equate to what, $200?
Yeah, at least, and then you give the manager 15% of that, and then the government takes half, and then me and Robby. So it's about $46.
What's the first thing that you bought when you got a big royalty check?
Oh my God.
Paid off our student loans.
We paid off our business manager made us pay off our student loans. I was like, that's how, listen, a student loan is an amazing thing. I mean, that's how you get your first guitar and amp. It's like
welcome to the middle class, kids.
That is exactly what he said. Welcome to the middle class. You pay your bills. And it was like, so yeah, the first thing we did was pay off our student loans. Shit, I wish we had done something else with the money.
Speaking of guitars and amps, tell me about your main guitars now, and any story behind how you acquired them.
Well, Taylor, all my acoustics are Taylors. Everything I use live is different than what I use in the studio. But I do use some of the Taylors in the studio. But generally I'll use like a vintage Gibson in the studio. I just love the way the acoustics sound. But there's a guy here in the States that makes these guitars called Rock and Roll Relics that are unbelievable. And he's such a nice guy, and he does such great work. And the guitars are really cool, and they got that swagger about them, and they play like shredder guitars. So it's like, and it's really awesome. Rock and Roll Relics are great guitars, and he's been really good with us too.
And Robby, what are you using?
Live, I use Yamaha BB basses. Hope I have a ton of them. In the studio, we've been using Hofner a lot. We've been using a K hollow body a lot. An array of Fenders.
I got a couple of old Fender Mustang basses that are just crazy sounding.
Yeah, like 3/4 scale basses. They sound great, man. What else we've been using? We got some tried and true Fenders, P basses, good stuff, man.
Yeah. I sort of, when I finally decided I was going to have, like, guitars to me are like tools. They are tools. And so I don't really look for pristine examples of vintage equipment. But because of what I do for a living, I'm lucky enough to be able to call. I'm sure you know who Norm is from Norm's Rare Guitars
Yeah.
in California. Yeah. I can call Norm's store and say, hey, I'm looking for a mid 60s hummingbird, you know, and he'll be like, well, okay, when you coming in? And I'll be like, I'll be there Tuesday. You know, what time is good? 2:00. Okay, great. And he'll have 15 of them, and you get to play every single one of them. And one always pops out,
Yeah.
and it's like, and it's, and of course it's always the most expensive one, but it's like
By
that's,
design.
yeah, I mean, but to be in 2024 to be able to do that is a really amazing thing. And Norm's store is incredible, and he's a good guy. He always hooks us up.
Yeah. I was reading an interview, which you said something really interesting, John, about new music. I know you released Beautiful Lie this year already. But I think the guy was asking you about whether you played new material on stage, road testing new material, and you said you don't really because the crowd these days record the new stuff. And
Yeah.
that must be it's a hurdle that you never used to be have to contend with, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, when you're writing new music and you have songs that are done, you want to go out and play them in front of people right away. Um, but yeah, because of technology, you have to just rely on a couple of people that whose ears you really trust, whose opinion you really trust about the music. And you got to rely on your own opinion too, more than you used to. But yeah, I would love to be able to go out and play stuff for people, just
Yeah, I
to
mean,
get
you don't want people's first impression of something to be from a camera phone. It's like, it's just a whole different thing,
yeah, it just always sounds terrible.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
but I mean, like I like playing new songs. We're gonna be releasing another album before the summer tour here in the States. So, that I mean, you just gotta hope that people like it, you know.
Yeah. So what are you guys most proud of in your music career?
Paying off my student loans.
I guess personally, it's just that we're still here, man. I mean, I think that's pretty awesome. Like, so many of our friends, you know, went away, and just disappeared, or disappeared and then came back again as some kind of bogus version, of the band. Like
Yeah.
we've been growing, this entire time, and so it's a pretty honest place we're at.
Yeah. I mean, I think the thing that I'm most proud of um, is that we've been able to grow, and our audience has been able to grow with us. So like when you create music, it should be a reflection of where you're at in your life. When you go back and listen to the old music, it's like you have to listen to it in the context of, well, I was 24 years old when I wrote that song, as opposed to, later, well, I was 44 when I wrote that song. And you change as a person, and that should affect the art that you're putting out.
Yeah. Well, guys, I know you're very busy. It's been great to chat, and we look forward to seeing you down here very soon.
It's going to
All
be
right.
awesome, man. It's going to be so much fun. Thank you.